All right. Some of you guys had asked about the Asymod and my experience with it here, so I'm going to demonstrate that now. This is running Pro Tools audio with the RE20 mic and the Kenwood TS590 Sugar Golf. Now, again, this is on my test bench going into a 50 ohm dummy load, a bird dummy load, about 1000 watt dummy load. So this is a Palomar 300A amplifier here. So these are notorious for being blown up by being overdriven. So unfortunately, it's very easy to do because there's a lot of misconception about how much drive you actually need. Now, the amplifier is in standby, so we're not transmitting or anything right now. It's not currently keyed up. So you have your low power setting here. Now this was made for dual radio operation. So low power, you can usually put in about 100 watts peak envelope power, and this is about a 400 said watt amplifier. It's not a real high power amplifier, so you know, guys that will run these too hard, you're going to probably take the tubes out or shorten the life, or take out something like this. This one is blown up. It's crispy. Let's just say you don't want to do that. And luckily, in this scenario, I found a replacement. So yes, by mistake, I was the unfortunate recipient of doing this to a component. So obviously, when you can find a replacement, which was this, I actually bought two. So let's just say you don't want to do what I did. So I fixed it, it's working fine, and we'll demonstrate that. But nonetheless, 100 watts PEP sideband. AM, you're not going to want to put a lot of dead key into this. So, you know, yeah, you could probably put like a modern radio, like a 955 HPC plus, something that's going to swing 100 watts, but you don't want to keep that carrier low. These sweep tubes are notorious for heating up and getting excessively hot. I had one of these many moons ago, and somebody had cut the top off of it, and they put a new kind of like addition on here, which was higher up because they had taller tubes in it too. So there was reasons they did what they did. I think maybe for more ventilation, although this is a fully vented top, but still, they had taller tubes, so it sat up quite high so that the taller tubes didn't arc and short out. So you have two driving four. When it's in low, you only run the four. When it's in high, the two drive the four. So that's the difference. The two basically give you the situation of, okay, these two tubes are now active, so the RF passes through and then drives this into the final stage and goes out. So if you have a low power radio, that's what the high power setting was for. Well, we're only going to demonstrate this with the Asymod and the high power because the Asymod radio is doing very low power. So we can see our Asymod radio is keyed up right now. It's like half a watt. So I'm going to run the tone from Pro Tools here, so you can see our two divisions there close enough. So we'll run our Pro Tools tone. That's about 200% modulation right there. You know, I don't want to go any crazier than that, but that's how that looks. And there's our carrier with our peak envelope power now, about 4 watts, 4.23 watts. So that's what we're putting in with a test tone. And you can see on the spectrum analyzer here, obviously I'm not set up to show the proper, I mean, you can see it's clean, but you know, it's way down because with the amp on it's going to look different. So what we're going to do now is just talk into with the amp on. So we'll switch the amp into operate, and now the amp is in operate, but this is the low power side, so we want to go to high power side, and I will switch the amp into operate. So now we have about 30 watts. Now you can see here, that we're showing a better, obviously we're more set up for this test. So what I'm going to do is try to slide this RE20 mic over. First I have to engage my microphone, so let me do that. Okay, so now I'm talking with the processed audio with the Pro Tools, and you can see now with 5 watts drive what the amplifier is doing, and you can also see over on the spectrum analyzer. It's aggressive. It's very aggressive because the Asymod gives you that extra AM bandwidth that probably some guys want. Now, if you don't have a radio that's capable of maybe receiving that widened bandwidth, then you're never going to really notice the benefit of that. So some of these guys that say they do these wideband receive modifications and stuff, maybe you would hear the better audio from the processed audio. But as you can see with 5 watts drive, you know, this amplifier is getting down for what it's supposed to do. It's actually almost doing too much. So in this situation, you know, you could back it down some and probably not hit it with so much modulation. So let's see what it does if I set this for like a true 100% modulation. And I'll switch the amplifier off. Okay. Okay, so we killed our microphone line. Well, let's run the tone generator. Okay, so we're going to back down the asymmetry. That's all the way down. Actually, I want to keep that up just a little bit. I'm going to back my microphone gain down. Okay, and then back down the asymmetry. And increase the microphone gain a little bit. Whoop. Okay, maybe we have to increase our So we're just playing with the adjustments here. I'm not trying to get it to rise too much. So that might be somewhat, let's see, about 0.5 watts. We're just about 2 watts, so I would say that's pretty darn close to our 100%. Obviously we could get a little more aggressive on the negative peak. You know, this trough as it comes in, we could, but what that's going to do is raise our positive up too. So we want to try to keep our negative and our positive at the same rate. So we have about 4 times the carrier here. So that's probably, you know, as close to, you know, what you would probably see with a normal 100% modulated radio in certain circumstances. So here's our amplifier on. It's in the high power position, as you can see. Let me turn on my mic line. Okay, so with the amplifier on, now you can see we're running much less aggressive bandwidth on the spectrum analyzer, but we're still getting upwards of depending on, you know, spoken word, 300, maybe 300 watts at times. Maybe not fully, but we're still getting pretty close to the same. Now obviously the audio isn't as aggressive, so you know, you're not going to get that more aggressive modulation. You know, we've cut the modulation percentage probably in half, so, but the peak envelope power still kind of goes up where it should. So this is a prime example of sometimes with higher modulation percentages like that, you also get way more aggressive AM modulation, which could be good and bad. So you have to be aware of these things when you're adjusting this unit. I would say that the amplifier, you know, probably is more happy running like this, for the sense of it's an old device. It probably was never intended to be ran at a higher, you know, 200% modulation level like that. So with that in mind, it would probably last a lot longer. If you were to use this every single day and have long conversations on AM, let's say, and talk, you're probably better off running it like this. And probably your locals, if you were only local talking, which a lot of us are only able to do that right now because the band is pretty flat. 1 2 1 2 check check. Hello. So I'm trying to listen to it right now on this Allen 48. So, and I'll hook this little radio up and we'll see what this one does for the amplifier. as well. This is the little Allen 48. It's a really neat little radio. I really like that radio. But it has a high carrier. It's about a 4-watt carrier. So all in all, I mean, the Asymod works really well. So I mean, I could probably adjust the RF power up on my radio and reset things and run it in the high power position. But I don't really like to do that because that's where mistakes could happen, as they've already happened once. So yeah, let's just not repeat something, a failure. We don't like to have failures here. Obviously, it's my own gear, so if I break it, I fix it. And that's just the way it is. So, you know, running it like this, let me kill that mic line. And we'll switch this into standby. So running it like this old amplifier loves a low dead key with swing. You never want to run this thing with a high dead key where you're just killing yourself with, you're pinching your audio up. And what I'll do now is I'll show you this Allen 48 and what it does with the amplifier. So, you know, it has way too much dead key. So again, we're only running 0.5 watt. I don't think I showed with voice, so let's do that. The amp is in standby. Let me show, because I did lower my modulation percentage. So let's see how much drive are we actually putting into the amplifier right now. So about 0.5 watts, and hopefully you guys can see that meter. So we're only putting in about maybe 2 watts peak envelope power. And that's pretty impressive, you know, that you can drive something with such little power, but yet you can make it do, you know, almost 150 times the power at times, you know, from such a low drive. So this thing is very, has a lot of gain in it, has a lot of dB gain in it. But you know, the major problem with these, even on the low power side, is people just flat out overdrive them, and they kill the driver tubes, they kill the whole RF deck in here. So again, operate. And with modulation, anywhere from 200 to 300 watts probably is what we're seeing here. So not too bad from 2 watts peak envelope power. I'd take that every day of the week. I don't know what you guys think. So let me hook this Allen 48 back up and we'll see what it does with that. So yeah, these get hot. It probably wouldn't hurt. I don't run this very often. Like, I hadn't ran this in probably over a year. I knew that it worked and everything, and I was curious to see what the radio would do with the Asymod with it. And obviously, when you're not 100% familiar with something new that you've acquired and you know how things work, it takes some time to get used to it, and I probably never should have transmitted into this prior. So this is a consequence of that. So this goes in the trash, and we live and learn. So if anyone's curious about where that is, it's I don't really like popping the lid with high voltage being active, but yeah, I'm not going to do that. But it's this bank of 4 output tubes. It connects through there, so that's where it is. If you look inside, where you know, a Palomar 300A, the picture, if somebody shows the top with the top off, you can see where it is. So it's fixed and it works just fine. So again, this is the Allen 48, which is a really cool radio. Works really good for what it is. So I did align this, and I got it within at least, you know, 30 hertz, which is close enough for me on AM, but it was way off frequency out of the box. So it was like 150 hertz low or something. So obviously we'd like to see just a tad better, and I could probably get there with it, but I just, you know, for what it is, that's close enough for me. This doesn't have a delta tune. You know, a lot of the older radios had a delta tune circuit on them. This doesn't. So, you know, if anyone is new to CB and you have an old radio, AM radio with a delta tune, that was for guys like me that got this radio, and this, you're 150 hertz off frequency, which really you're not going to notice it. But if you're 500 hertz off frequency, which you could probably still make this do that, then the delta tune could be beneficial because it's like an AM clarifier. But this is pretty good here. So, you know, we're about a 4 watt dead carrier, and let's see, Hello, check, check. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Now this is too much drive. This is too much drive. But I'm going to show you what the amp briefly can take that amount of drive. That's 10 times the drive what I just put in with the Asymod radio. So, and a lot more carrier too. So 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check, check, check. Hello, 1 2. All right. So let's just quickly key this up. Again, we're in the high power position, so we're going 2 to 4, and we're going to do this quick. It's 220 watts of dead key. That's way too much. And 1 2 3 1 2 3. So we're not getting much more for what we're putting in. You know, maybe a little bit more. But I could get more out of this with the Asymod if I ran the carrier up just a little bit more. Probably a half a watt is pretty low, but you know, 25 30 watts swinging 400 plus, I think it was showing 500 at any given time, was pretty damn good. And again, I'm the type of operator on AM, I like modulation, I like swing. I don't like to run things hard. I do not like to run this hard. We'll put this in the low power position. Now it can handle it perfectly, so we'll see what it does in the low power position. No, it's about a 65 watt drive or dead key, and then it swings to what, about 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check, check, check. So again, if you had like a radio and you wanted to run this with it, that's a 4 watt radio like this is, and it's swinging way under what it could put in, like this could handle up to 100 peak envelope power all day, every day. Because now what we've done is taken these two out, and the RF goes in and passes straight to these driver tubes. So you know, you can run it two different ways. This would be the safer way here, because you never want to put that much dead key, and it definitely doesn't need it. So, but it may last like that, I don't know. But I wouldn't want to run like that, 200 and whatever, swinging to 400. You're pretty pinched up. I don't like having 50% of my power tied up in carrier. Just me, the ratio is bad. So 1 2 3 1 2 3. This is a better ratio here. We're about 60. We're about 60 watts and swinging about 240. So we're at least 4 times. This radio does about 100% audio. You know, it's a good old radio, and it has a good European look to it. But these are really nice radios. So it has a high cut filter and all that stuff. I'm not 100% sure on the adjustments for like audio and FM deviation and stuff like that, so I haven't played around. I don't like playing around with stuff I don't honestly know, but it works really good. So I have a newer model of this. It's called the Quora. I don't even know how you say it, but it's basically 48 in Italian, and it's a radio that I acquired. And I haven't really used too much, but I really like the look of that too. I just really like this look. There is one, a Midland, that has sideband that looks like this, and it has a frequency counter, the Precision series, but that one is kind of rare, I think. I think it's called the 7001, if I'm not mistaken. I would love to have one of those radios. If somebody has one of those that works good, and it's on frequency, and you know, it could be hard to maintain that older radio, but if it works and it's not all beat to hell, I would be interested, and I would trade just about any new radio on the market for one of those. If somebody was interested, probably they wouldn't be, but you never know. So anyways, that's the difference. And since I just fixed this, it was a good time to make a video, since those had asked about the Asymod. So I think the Asymod is outstanding for what it does, and you know, you have to have a little bit of test gear to really fully benefit from what it does. If you don't have the ability to have an oscilloscope and RF sample and some basic things for testing, that I would strongly suggest that you get one. Now, if you're going to run that mobile, I wouldn't know the first way to really go about that, running one of those mobile. I know guys probably do it, but for me, it's only going to be in a base scenario. And I love this standalone unit because all the controls are outside the radio. Now, on the mobile radios, I think he puts them into the radio, which is fine. You just have to be able to make your adjustments inside the radio. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I do the standalone. But that's it. Brought this old guy back to life here, and it's working good. Old two-piece deal here. You got your transformer and your RF deck, so she's working really nice. Let's put a sideband radio into it really quick just to see. Okay, so I put my Kenwood back in it. Now this is with the Pro Tools processed audio, but there's no Asymod. The Asymod is out of circuit basically, but the Pro Tools processed audio still runs through the radio, from the computer into the radio. So everything is, running the processed audio. So what I want to do is back this down to maybe its lowest setting. Let's see. Now that says the least amount of power I can put out of the Kenwood TS590 Sugar Golf. Now remember, all these tests are on a dummy load, so anybody who wants to get all excited and stuff, we're going into the dummy load. So, but as far as that goes, this is the minimum power from the Kenwood TS590SG. And I have my compression and my ALC is well within the limitation that Kenwood tells you should stay within. So we're going to switch this on now. We're back to the high power side. Operate SSB. Before I do that, these have a mechanical relay. So if you're a slow talker like I am, probably you're going to hear that, this amplifier could probably really benefit from a dedicated key line. I don't even know if it's possible to do to an amplifier like this, or have like a foot switch or something on it for SSB. That way when you stomp your foot down or have a hand switch, whatever, it stays engaged. But we're working with old technology here, and I don't know if that stuff was around back when this was made. So but the delay is on, so it does have a delay. Okay, so there's the power on SSB. So obviously on SSB it's doing a little less power. You can hear that ka-chunk as you back it down a little bit. So if I talk more consistently like this, then everything's fine. So I'm just going to increase my power from the lowest setting up one setting there, and there you go. There's maximum power. It's a 400 watt amplifier, and there's how it looks on the spectrum analyzer. So that looks really nice. This is what, upper? No, this is lower sideband. Sorry, I should have known that by looking at the screen. So obviously it's doing the rated power. Now, is there any difference really if you were transmitting this on 10 meters or something between this and this? Probably not. Actually, the tubes probably will last you longer running it less. But sometimes I don't know, loafing it like this, maybe it's not the best for it. I don't really know. With old sweep tube amps, maybe you should do the rated power out. Sometimes I think if you underdrive things, maybe it's worse for them. I'm not sure how they're rated. Like, what is the dissipation factor of a sweep tube? I think these are 6KD6 tubes in there, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I have a picture of them. I'll post the picture on the video. It'll be the cover thing of the video that you guys will see on YouTube. But there it is with, let's see what kind of drive this is. So this is about 4 to 7 watts of drive right there. So that's why I say this is a low drive amplifier or a 100 watt, normal RF deck HF amp. So let's turn the radio's power up now. I'll put this in the low power position, so we should be able to turn the radio's power up all the way now. And this is up all the way. So again, this is a very linear HF radio, and you shouldn't expect to see the full 100 out of it, which we're not. But there's no difference between this and 100 watts. So this is 75 watts of drive, which is fine. Low power position. Now remember, these two tubes are off, only these. And now when we talk, we're seeing full output out of the amplifier. And this is, technically, this is only supposed to be about a 400 watt amp, so obviously you could probably back it down a little bit. And I'm slowly backing it down. I want to see about where do I reach that 400 mark. So about there. So actually it's still doing a little bit more. The processed audio is really nice because it kind of gets you a little more consistent power. you don't have the dips and dives that you would without the processed audio. But I think this is maybe a little too much still. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out like where does it kind of reach its plateau. I'm thinking about here. 1 2 3 1 2 3 check check. Yeah, that's probably good there. If you really wanted to run it conservative, you'd run it just like that. So we'll switch the amplifier off, and that's probably with about 40 watts of drive. So we cut the drive in half, and we're still seeing a good amount of power. And again, the amplifier is old. The tubes are, you know, hard to get. They're expensive. Maybe not hard to get, but they're very expensive for what they are. So, you know, taking it easy on this guy, it will be very thankful and last you a lot longer. So if you beat the hell out of it, the tubes are gonna go flat, and then you're gonna blow the thing up. So that's the Asymod off, just the Kenwood itself, which is cool that you know you don't need the Asymod on this radio on sideband, and you can still run the Pro Tools processed audio, which is really an added benefit that you get. So you know, the Pro Tools is really easy to use. The owner, he sent me all the information. He was able to schedule like a phone call with me where he remote accessed my computer and kind of taught me how to use it, and it's super easy. So yeah, you can customize it if you like yourself, but I just go off the normal settings that he set up, and he spent a lot of time doing that stuff. So I trust what he's done, and the audio is just fantastic. So as you can see, you can use it multiple ways with an amplifier like this. You can run low drive, high drive with this. It's probably, the video is a little bit more about this too, only because, like I say, I just fixed it. So I'm happy that it's back. And you know, accidents happen. So like I said, if you get something new, some new piece of equipment, some new piece of gear, and you're not quite sure how it's gonna react with stuff you've been, you know, using for a long time, just be careful, because things, you know, you can make a mistake. Everybody is at a certain point able to make a mistake, and that's okay as long as we can fix that mistake, and obviously that's what I've done. So a pretty cool radio here anyways, the Allen 48. I kind of actually prefer the look of this over like a Cobra 29 or something. It's really cool. I think that the Coronato or whatever it's called, I think that one you can modify it and you can make it do 120 channels. So it'll read like up to something here, and then there's a way to do some stuff. You can key up and it'll show your SWR. It's a more modern radio, but this radio is really nice for what it is. So old school radio, old school amp, and a really nice HF rig with a hi-fi Asymod modification done to it. So that's it. A little bit of everything here. Well, let me show one more thing. I acquired this radio. This is Kuka Hans from Germany. He's a well-known radio man from Germany. He's the one that I bought this from, so thank you to him. I haven't tried it out yet, but this was one that I always wanted to try. It is the Jackson 2 Classic. So the box is big. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet and looked at it, but yeah, it's a pretty cool radio. I'm looking forward to trying it out one day. Multi-norms and export, I think all that stuff is able to, it's all done, so should just be plug and play when I get around to trying it out. So just having a little bit of fun today. It's my day off. Well, not necessarily I've worked today, but now it's my day off from everything. And you know, I'm not the one thing that maybe doesn't come across sometimes on a lot of my videos and stuff that I do is, as much as I like selling and working with people's radios, customers' radios, and helping customers out and radio operators out, I like using stuff even more. So, you know, some guys only like to sell because they like the, you know, yeah, I like that too, but at a certain point I usually reinvest a lot of things back into the hobby because I love equipment, and I love just using stuff and experimenting, and that's why, you know, this Asymod and these radios, and you know, that radio and that radio, and stuff over here. there's stuff everywhere. So don't ever think that I'm not as big as operator. Like I would prefer, honestly, to take like days and days if I could just sit here and talk. And everybody that's bought a radio from me over the years, if I could make a contact with each and every one of you and have a QSO, I would love to do that. You know, that's I just love talking on the radio. So unfortunately, conditions are so dead right now that, you know, we can pretty much only talk local. So that's what I'm planning on doing later, is talk some local. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I got a couple customer orders I need to take care of this weekend, and I will. So most likely your stuff will ship out on Monday if you're waiting on anything. But yeah, thanks to Kuka Hans, and thanks to 13 Uniform Golf 14 Uwe in Germany for helping me get this, because he was a big helping me get it. So I've kind of waited to do anything with this because he's also sending me the, I think it's called, is it called the Bomba mic? The Bomba mic. It's a special mic that Kuka Hans made. That it's based off the Motorola outside microphone. I'm just using this because it's a mic and Joel mic, but it's based off of that. And he's redesigned the inside with a different capsule. I think it's an electric condenser capsule. And apparently, it's really known in Germany, the Bomba mic or Boomba mic. I'm not sure how they say it there. But anyways, that will work plug and play with this. So I'm kind of waiting maybe to do both together as well. So, all right, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you got something out of it with the Asymod. Like I say, if you have the ability to get one, I highly recommend it. It is a little technical, so you need to have like sampler or oscilloscope, something like that. You can also use it without the processed audio. Let me come back to that just a second. So I was using it with this mixing board also, so you can do it this way too. You just plug your microphone into one of your channels. So you could plug your mic in here and then control all your outputs here of your channel 1. And then you have your mix if you want to add any mix into it, which I was adding a little mix into it, but you have your master output. So, and then you have your line out, which would therefore plug directly into the back of this Asymod. And that's pretty much it. On my radio, I can hit the send button for TX. Now keep in mind, for those, oh my god, you know, I was on the dummy load, so, you know, whatever it says is what it says. But, you know, I can hit the send, or I could plug in my factory mic and use the PTT off of that. Or I have a Heil adapter cable that has a PTT line on it, and I could use that with a hand PTT. There's multiple ways to do it. The Asymod has a PTT jack on the back also, but I choose not to use that. It also has an amplifier key line on the back, so when it detects TX, which it does, and it shows that here, it would also send the signal to your HF amplifier to transmit. And when you let off the key, it goes away. So that's a cool feature that it has. So it has the line in for audio. So I use the MBox 2 Mini. My mic is plugged into this. And this goes, the Pro Tools communicates with this from the computer. So the audio comes into this. There's a line in, which is USB here, going to the computer. And from there, there's a line out. The line out from this goes directly into the line in on this. So what you see here, this jack, there's one of those on the back here. There's the line in here. So the audio comes out of here, goes into here, gets mixed, which is the board is inside the TS590 Sugar Golf, and then it goes out through the antenna jack. So it's synthesized through Pro Tools into this, comes out of this. You can monitor yourself through this with the headphone jack if you want to, and then it goes in here to the radio, and the radio does its magic, and voila, you got good processed audio. But you don't have to run the Pro Tools. I didn't quite understand it in the beginning, so I was running the mixing board, and I was doing pretty good with that too. So you can do it both ways if you want to. You could run an external mixer. Obviously there's probably way better ones than this, but the Pro Tools has so many different, like, it's made for like instruments. If you understand what I don't really understand it fully, but I do understand after he explained it to me how it works. Let me give you a quick view of what we're looking at here. So all these little windows are different instruments. They're all forms of equalization that he's customized. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different ones. This is my tone generator. You can 1, 2, 3, 4. So all 4 of these are active, and they're all different forms of equalization that the audio passes through. You can customize them all if you want to and change things. You know, here, let me click that off because you can't really see, but so you can see the level of, you know, this is a very complicated, you have predefined roll-offs and whatnot. It's very technical, and many hours were spent doing this kind of stuff, so it wasn't just something you just threw together. At the end of the day, the audio is fantastic, but that's just one of them. So let's just quickly take a look at a different one. You can just kind of get this out of the way and get this one out of the way. You can tell this one cancel. You have one here. This is a different one, different roll off. Let me see if I can't speak into my microphone here. I'm not transmitting, but the mic line can be open without you transmitting on your radio, so there's no RF coming out of the radio, but the mic line is open. So I'm speaking into my RE20 right now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. So you can kind of see it in action, what it's doing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, check, check. So that's what it's doing. You can change all the settings if you want to, but I go with the expert that's kind of set it up already, so I'm not going to change anything. Here's this one. This is a different one here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is a bassy, more bassy EQ setting. So there's multiple ones that you can use that are predetermined, or you can make your own. So hopefully that didn't confuse a lot of people. I tend to never touch any of this stuff. A lot of times I just move it out of the way. So what I mean by that is I just kind of put it all in the corner. I don't use this computer for anything else but Pro Tools. It's all running it's Windows 10, so I found that I couldn't get the files, the free files that he sent me to work on Windows 11. So that's one thing I guess I would have to mention is you need Windows 10. So this is Windows 10. It's actually a little mini PC. I'll show that here. I have dual hard drives in there, so if I want to run Windows 11, I can boot it up. I have a SSD and a mini SSD. The mini SSD is running Windows 10. The bigger SSD is running Windows 11. So I go into the boot mode when I power the computer on and decide which one I want to run. It's default to run Windows 10 because I want to run my radio with the Asymod, and it's just easier to run it. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM in here, so it can do all this processing and it doesn't lag ever. There's never a delay. So if you only have like an 8 gigabyte RAM or something, probably you're going to want to upgrade that for sure. So the 32 gig RAM works great. All right, a little bit overtime, 73.